I don't believe we have a flag to say the pledge.
We can still say it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So at this time, I would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I so move we approve the agenda.
Second.
Good job, Laura.
Okay, trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Lichtenberg,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. And unanimous.
Okay. I will state that the vote for the executive session. Get a motion to do so.
Second.
Call the roll at this point.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Lichtenberg,
You're muted, Lance.
Mine's on.
I don't know if Jim could hear, but I couldn't hear anything in regards to the motion. The last thing I heard was the approval of the agenda, I believe.
We have a motion on the floor to go into executive session, sir. It's been moved and seconded.
All right. Yes.
Trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Paul,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Powell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes. So at this point, we'll go into executive session.
So we'll mark down the entering time as soon as we get switched over here. And then,
Laura, do I need to do anything on my end or will you get me switched over?
You'll just need to click the button that says take me there.
Okay, perfect.
Are you in Marin County on this side of the Golden Gate or the other side?
The other side.
You're quarantining my foot.
I wish it were real, but it didn't.
there you go. And then Laura, I Okay, so another motion, right? To go back in?
So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to return to executive session, please.
I will move that we re-enter executive session for a period of not less, well, for 20 minutes for discussions with council and regarding non-elected personnel with the same individuals as were in the prior executive session.
Second.
And we have a second. Would you please call the roll? Laura?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Lechtenberg,
Lance?
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Powell,
Yes.
and trustee Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. We're out in session now? No? Well, I see Lori and other people online. Okay. There's a bunch of them.
Good.
Guess we gotta wait till we get back. don't we? It's usually
Mhm.
back. Recognitions. Typically, I just sit here so people can hear me and sit in front of the microphone.
Do you want to come to the middle? You want to be over there?
I'm fine. They probably have the camera shooting on me, don't you?
I'll just get out of the room. Kind of go back there.
You're all right.
I'm all right.
Yeah, you're okay.
I have to be on camera.
We have Julie back yet? Here she
Yes.
comes. There we go.
She is back.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's fine.
So at this time, Dr. Kroll has recognitions from the college.
Thank you. First on our list of recognitions, I want to let you know that on April 10th, the Butler chapter of Phi Beta Lambda competed in the Kansas PBL Virtual Spring Leadership Conference. We want to recognize Naomi Galinda and Shelby Varner. Naomi and Shelby each qualified to compete at the National Virtual Spring Leadership Conference, which will be held June 24th through the 27th. Naomi placed first in global analysis and decision making, and second in computer concepts, and third in personal finance. And then Shelby placed first in sales presentation and third in business communication. So Naomi, is that right? Congratulations.
Way to go, Naomi.
Okay. Thanks for being here.
Congratulations.
The next group, we have all kinds of students. This is fun. Yeah,
Nice change.
I know. The next group of students is a present. We've got some, but a big group of award winners. The Grizzly Magazine came home with and the individuals that helped with the Grizzly Magazine came home with a number of Kansas Collegiate Media Awards. And we're really excited about this. So Grizzly Magazine won a gold medal overall and also received 12 other individual awards at the recent Kansas Collegiate Media Awards Conference. Editors of the magazine this academic year are Austin Lee, Madeline Rada, and Braden Ford. Other staff members are Kylie Chain, Kylie Delmer, Jace Doolittle, and Jaden Stanley. And then the advisor to the magazine is Mike Swain. I'm going to give you these so you can hang on to the pass them out, but I want to tell about these students. So who do I have here? Kylie, Madeline. Okay, so let me go down through this list. Jacob Minter was first in news event photography, first and third in magazine cover, second table of contents, and honorable mention in visual headlines. Ethan Newey was first and third magazine cover and second in table contents. Nicholas Quinones was first and third in magazine cover. Kylie, second feature photography. Madeline, second spot news, second event writing, third feature writing. Julia Nightingale, first special pages for magazine, staff page, honorable mention in feature writing. And then Kaylee Stout was first in special pages for magazine and staff page. And so congratulations to you folks. You just continue to represent this college in a really incredible way. And we're proud of you and excited for you and glad that even though we've been through the COVID stuff, you still got to be able to compete and you continue to just make Butler really proud. And we appreciate your leadership and mentorship. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Were you the one that was sitting at the computer when we did our walkthrough? No,
No, I don't think
Uh-huh.
so. No,
no,
Nope.
okay,
She's there every day. but-
not that day. That was a good walkthrough. Hello, how are you?
We-
Great, thank you.
we have more Kansas Collegiate Media Awards here. Want to recognize Riley Wagner, Tori Wilson, Michaela Caller, Amanda Smith, Jordan Plowman, Madeline Wilson, Annette Bernston, Amanda Smith, and Carly Pratt from the Butler Lantern staff. The Lantern newspaper received a bronze overall award and 13 individual awards at the Kansas Collegiate Media Awards Conference. So individual awards went to Riley Wagner for honorable mention sports feature writing, Tori Wilson, second spot in event writing, Michaela Caller, third in sports action photography, Amanda Smith, second and third breaking news and third for front page design, Jordan Plowman, first in infographics, Madeline Wilson, second review writing, second editorial writing, honorable mention spot and event writing, Annette Bernston, first review writing, and Carly Pratt, third front page design. And we have Amy Chastain, who's our great advisor for the newspaper. And again, super leadership and amazing opportunity for these students to compete. And as always, great job, good work. So congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Chrissy Baker. So Chrissy Baker's one of our advisors for Phi Theta Kappa, which is our 2-year scholastic honorary. And we want to recognize the Phi Theta Kappa folks, but Hayden Jansen, Lucas Drake, Kaylee Hansen, and Chrissy Baker as advisor. They just finished up with International Catalyst Conference and came home again with a number of awards, chapter awards and individual awards. Chapter awards included Catalyst Award, 5-star region, 5-star chapter, excellence in chapter engagement, excellence in service, honors in action, and research rewards recipient. Hayden Jansen, who is Matt Jansen, if you know Matt in IS,
Oh.
his son, fourth
How
as
about that?
distinguished officer, research edge, first achievement in literature in research, competitive edge 5-star member, and named the Kansas Nebraska region president. So first president that we've had of the region, correct? Yeah. 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 Lucas Drake received an award for PTK Employment Edge Program Award. Kaylee received PTK Transfer Edge Program Award. And then Chrissy Baker received a Horizon Advisor Award. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
Your great work as advisors, and I know you guys do good work. So thanks. Congratulations.
Thank you. Good job.
And then I think we have the livestock judging team as well. You have Coach with you? Coming.
I don't know if I believe that. There's no boots. I can't see any boots.
There's
Oh, there's
boots.
some. There's some.
They're coming in. The boots are coming in here. Okay, so we want to recognize our great livestock judging team again this year. We have Paige Miller. Why don't you raise your hands? I should have had folks do that with some of the other words. Paige Miller, Cal Schultz, Kyler Vernon, Gunnar Crawford, Martha Moaning, Taylor Dyball, John Hogberg, John Martin, Zachary McCall, Sawyer Nas, Hunter Spear, Jace Stegmeyer, Tessa Tomlinson, and Tormanya Tutt. This is the livestock judging co-team of the year. So it's a national championship, essentially, is what it is. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And so important for you to know that in the last 6 years, Butler has been named the team of the year in 2017, 18, and 19. Didn't get to compete last year, so there's a gap there. But then this year, we're co-team of the year. And on top of that, each year, there are 15 All-Americans that are named from among the livestock judging teams based on grade point average and points that they earn at some of the contests, right? Okay. So Butler has more than double any other program in the entire country. Collectively, Butler has 63 total representatives of the All-American status. This year's All-Americans are Paige Miller, Hal Schultz, Kyler Vernon, Gunnar Crawford, and Martha Money.
Wonderful.
And also, Taylor Frank was named Livestock Judging Coach of the Year. And so again, this is an award that's awarded each year.
Wow.
And he's been the Coach of the Year the same years that the team has won Team of the Year. So 17, 18, 19, and this year, Coach.
And where are you from?
I grew up in Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew you weren't. Yeah, that's great.
Really, really
Congratulations. This is
proud
awesome.
of you guys. You are phenomenal representatives of Butler, top students. You have a lot of work that you have to do besides getting ready for your contest, but I know you have tough programs of study and are super students, and you have great coach and great leaders in the program. And so congratulations to all of you. We're really proud.
Thank you.
of all of you. An annual standard here. So, we better see everybody back next year, Taylor, okay?
That's great.
And your freshman team's just as accomplished, really, right? They don't receive, they don't judge as many contests and receive the awards the way that the sophomore teams do, but good students at the freshman level.
Is the freshman team here? Or-
No.
No, just the sophomore team. Okay.
Congratulations, you guys.
job.
Thank you. And then want to wish Trustee Lechtenberg a happy birthday on the 18th. So happy
Quarantine.
birthday, Lance.
Enjoy San Francisco.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, standing reports, student government.
Man.
Do we have?
Can you
Kirsten?
guys hear me?
Yep, there she is.
Okay, perfect. Well, sadly, this will be my last time reporting to you guys, but pretty much for the rest of the semester, we've just been winding down. We did have our last meeting on the 7th, and Dr. Kroll was there, so we got to chat with her, so that was nice. And then last night, Student Life had a late night breakfast, and they partnered with Great Western, and so that turned out really well. Other than that, we haven't had much going on, and pretty much we just all want to thank the board for always supporting SGA and all of the help that you guys have given and all of that.
Appreciate that. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Kirsten.
Dr. Kroll, is Mr. Lechtenberg's birthday May 18th or June 18th? May? May. I always like to.
Did I say two?
No, you didn't say. So that's why I was just clarifying.
Operational staff, Lisa.
Good evening. I don't have any new news, only a reminder that operational staff is selling bottled water at graduation. All funds raised will help support our book scholarship, the welcome back tables in the fall, and go towards families in need. So if you'll be attending graduation, please consider stopping by and seeing us at the concession stand. Our next operational staff meeting is this Thursday, May 13th.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Professional employees, Dr. Sater.
Thank you. As usual for this time of the year, faculty and advisors have been pushing and pulling students to get over the finish line, and faculty are up to their ears in final papers and exams to grade and get those in on time. If you'll indulge me, I note that on tonight's agenda, you'll be talking about McConnell Air Force Base and our presence there. I just thought I might give you the perspective of a lowly faculty member. I worked out at McConnell Air Force Base one night a week, teaching a philosophy or sometimes an ethics class for the first few years when I was a Butler. And well, I finally had to forego that class and fill my schedule a different way because my daughters were getting old enough to have evening activities that I wanted to be present for. But during those years when I taught out at McConnell Air Force Base, I found that a very rewarding experience. And look, Butler didn't save or spend any more money whether I was out there or not. So I know you're talking about that. But the time I spent in those classes teaching those students was a privilege. Most of those students spent a full day performing their duties in service to us, and then they took time out in the evening to come to my philosophy class often to further their education. And they were some of my best students. And as I said, it was a real privilege to be with them and to talk to them. They had great experiences to bring to the classroom. And it was something to be proud of for Butler to offer that kind of experience and service to those who do so much for us. I really respected Butler at the time and still do for being engaged out at McConnell. It's been a great relationship. I wasn't, I was probably a bit of a hassle because I was one of those faculty members who would wait till the very last minute to worry about my base pass every semester. And I remember Rob Coons at the time had to rush around at the last minute to get me taken care of, but he always did. And I always enjoyed being with those students. And again, I found it a great honor and privilege to teach them. And Butler we should be proud as an institution for our continuing efforts there. Well, at any rate, I'm flying way above where I should be flying, but I thought I'd give you that perspective. Thanks for listening. And
Could I ask how long ago? Could I ask how long ago you taught there?
Oh, it may be, gosh, now you're asking an age question. Maybe about, I don't know, a dozen years ago or so since I've been teaching classes out there.
Very good. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it, Terry. Thank you. So I'd like a detailed finance committee report, Shelby.
You put it on me, I see. We did a composite financial index with Kim. She kind of gave us a breakdown of how we're looking. Hey, got Terry frozen down in front of me. She said 3 is pretty good for our size institution, which looks like where we're averaging for the last 4 years or so. All in all, looks pretty good. She's going to get more detail on it later. But in general, it looks good, and we're in talks with Michael at BKD still.
Yeah, Gerber.
So,
Gerber.
Michael Gerber?
Uh-huh.
Okay, sorry, I've got old man here, so. That's about it.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Foundation report for us, Dr. Kroll.
Nothing to report. The foundation board meets next Tuesday, so I'll have more to report at the June meeting.
Educational Facilities Authority. We meet tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
At 8 a.m. So I really don't have anything to share at this time until after our meeting tomorrow. That brings us to board strategic discussion.
You want me to do my report?
Did I
Yeah, you
skip Dr.
skipped it.
Kroll? I apologize.
That's all right. I just have a couple of things I want to share with you. We did on the 29th in the afternoon, did the tour of the El Dorado campus, and Mary Martha and Doug and Shelby were able to join and had a nice afternoon and saw some, some.
And I had
building-
several teachers, professors reach out and tell me thank you for
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah, it was
and
fun.
It was
It
very
was fun.
nice.
And we'll work on the outreach sites. Again, we're trying to wait till we get to the end of the semester and things kind of calm down a little bit. In the last 2 weeks, I've done 4 different forums with students, specifically because we wanted to have some conversation with them at the end of this semester and past this past year with COVID related challenges and stuff. And a number of different questions that we talked to them about, but really wanted to kind of get a handle on their perspective on the technology and classrooms and face-to-face or hybrid kinds of classrooms. And so compiling some good information from those students, and really wanted to know, really from a teaching perspective and classroom perspective, what things needed to be retained moving forward, and and what things maybe weren't as effective. Heard about the same thing. I did a nice group in Andover, had a group here in El Dorado. I visited with the student government officers and then Phi Theta Kappa students, and really didn't hear a lot of difference in the conversations, but they appreciated the technology. Felt like after the spring semester, after we got started, fall semester was, things were really in place by then. They really liked face-to-face classes, but they want continued options for some hybrid learning because it creates flexibility for their schedules. Had one young lady in Andover that's working, I think she said 3 different jobs, and the flexibility with a hybrid classroom allows her to continue to work and still engage in class. So Saturday morning, we had the graduation celebration for the Early College Academy students. Mary Martha was there to help with a welcome, and we have 95 high school seniors that are graduating with their associate's degree. Some of them were, their high school commencement was the next day on Sunday. A lot of them are in the next couple of weeks, but
Phenomenal.
reminded those students that we figured they save on average about $8,000 a year in tuition fees, books, room and board. When you compare, well, I guess maybe books aren't included in that. Tuition fees, room and board, when you compare our average cost to the average cost of a public 4-year institution, they save about $8,000 a year. So that group of 95 students over the 2-year time frame that they were in the academy pathways saved more than $1.5 million in higher education costs.
And they save 2 years of their life.
They do. And it's a huge, because some of those students, they can't qualify for federal financial aid. Some of those students are paying for that all on their own. They don't have family support. Some have families that are able to help, but every year we have a number of students that are working part-time jobs to pay for those college classes and the things that they need. And I think Heather also, I had to step out before the very end, but I think this group of students also has amassed $2.5 million in scholarship offers. That's the largest amount collectively that our academy graduates have gained. And we started our first health science academy with 7 students at Rose Hill about 12 years ago. So it's a model that nobody else is repeating in the state of Kansas. Very successful. And it'll be fun to see them at commencement. A number of those students are honor grads. Order the Purple and Order the Gold. We'll recognize them on Friday afternoon, and then we'll see them at commencement Friday night. Softball has had a successful season. They are the Region 6 championships for the 5th year in a row and the 11th in program history. And on Monday, they will play in the Plains District Championship at East Park. I think it's a 3-game series. I don't know. I haven't looked today. I'm not sure who they play.
And what day is it?
Monday. Yeah, we're hoping for sunshine or at least dry weather. And then this is also National Nurses Week. And wanted to just shout out to our nurses, our nursing program, and all of our phenomenal students and faculty, administrators and staff that are associated with that program. Our 5-year average NCLEX pass rate for our PN program is 98%, which might be the highest, one of the highest in the state, for sure, one of the highest in the state. So anyway, congratulations. Next month for our board meeting, we'll have our new Vice President of Academics join us for the meeting, Zoom in at least. So you'll get a chance to meet our new VPA. So we should have all of that taken care of by then.
Thank you.
That answered
Sorry for
questions.
skipping over your introduction.
That's
to
all right.
that, item.
That's all right.
You've
Next
been
up,
fired.
I'm fired.
Yeah.
Insurance renewal discussion. Kent. Hello, Kent.
There's Kent.
There he is.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I think I saw Ryan. Yes, Ryan Murray is zooming in. Can you wave, Ryan, or say hello? Okay, so he's here. I think I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to Ryan. Basically, we will need to have the board approve the renewal of our property and liability insurance policies next month. So Ryan's going to give us an update on where ICI is as far as giving us that information for next month. So it's all yours, Ryan.
Okay. We've started receiving some of the renewals. The big piece is the property, which of course we struggled with last year. So we don't have that renewal just yet. We are last year, if you remember, while we found another suitable carrier. Chubb is the name of the company. And while the rate was probably in line with what we were expecting, the deductible structure was a little bit complex. And so we have asked Chubb to, we've asked to negotiate the wind-hail deductible structure this year. So I'm waiting to hear back from management at Chubb to see if we can get a little more favorable terms on the wind-hail deductible. The other thing we've done, we did resend the property back out to a few markets that may be interested. The thing that changed is most carriers look at a 5-year loss history, and the large hailstorm we had that popped us for between $7 and $8 million, that was in 2015. So 5-year loss history now does not include that loss. So we're hopeful that maybe some carriers that passed on it last year might be interested now that loss is over 5 years out. So that's an update on the property and the wind hail. We did receive the renewal on several of the lines from the carrier called Trident. So what we do have, and I'm not going to give you the price for all of them, but I'll give you the total. But we do have the renewal for the general liability, the auto, the equipment, the crime, the law enforcement liability, the educator's legal liability, employment practices liability, and the umbrella. And that total increase was at 5%, which is actually a little lower than what Ken and I had budgeted. In dollar figures, that's $10,824. So on all of those lines of coverage I just mentioned, we do have those, and that's in at about a 5% increase. We also have our workers' compensation renewal. It is down just about $2,000. So that is good news, but I will tell you, we still have it out to another carrier that may be even a little more competitive than that. So we should be able to get a reduction. You know, at the least, it's going to be a $2,000 reduction. Hopefully, we might be able to get a little bit more once we have a firm proposal from this other carrier. Still do not have the cyber liability. We are seeing increases on that line of coverage. When we see large increases, we are sending it out to additional companies just because some of them are taking larger increases than others. Candidly, I will tell you the program that we have Butler with, while it is probably the broadest program we found, it is one that we're seeing the biggest increases from. So depending on what that renewal looks like, we may send that and get another alternative on that.
Who's that? Oh.
Another thing we did this year, and I'm sorry, I'm going to jump back to the property. Kent provided me with the college's master plan, and on that there was a column basically for the building values that I believe came from estimates from the architect. And what we discovered is there were some some pretty big discrepancies in what we had it insured for versus what the architect's estimate was. So one of the things we did this year here in our office is we actually went through, and with the help of Kent and his team, Ireland and Lynn, we did updated replacement cost estimators on every building on the property schedule. As a result, some were high, some were low, but it did increase the total blanket limit by about 8%, which is, you know, I don't know if we were terribly surprised by that given the current costs of building construction. I was probably worried it was going to be more than that. So the values that have been on the policy obviously have been there for years, and occasionally they're spot checked, and then there's just an arbitrary 3 to 5% bump in the values. So there was a chance that the values were going to be way out of line, but even after doing the replacement cost estimator on every building, we were within, basically we bumped the building limit about $8 million for all the buildings combined. So, and the software that we use is called CoreLogic. It's an industry standard software, and basically it is designed to keep up with construction costs by zip code. So, so we're comfortable that those, we have a good benchmark to compare our values against. I don't know that, looking at my notes here, that I have too much more to report at this time, other than, you know, we're hoping we get the property renewal here in the next week or two. And of course, as Kent said, we'll have to have this wrapped up by the June board meeting. Any questions from anybody or anything I may have skipped over?
I have one, Ryan. This is Shelby Smith. Does that bump our total buildings to about 180 million, or what's that make our total?
On the building structures themselves, it's 93.6 million. We do have a limit for personal property that is just over 31 million. So
and then
so that's 124. And then, oh, the dorms are insured on a separate policy. And I may have skipped over that as well, but there is a lot of carriers are uneasy about the liability associated with student housing. There is a new market that just entered the space last year, so we are trying to get an alternative on that policy as well. That in the dorms case, our replacement cost estimator actually took the building value down almost $4 million. So 124.8 plus 11.3. That's about 136 million in property values. That includes contents. Is that what you initially said, Shelby?
No, I thought we were at 170 million last year. So
Well,
we're 106.
One thing on that, Shelby, these are replacement costs for insurance, and
Okay.
as Ryan mentioned, they have a program that's an industry standard that calculates those. The values, the replacement costs that were in the master plan that the architect put in there probably are higher in total than what we have for replacement costs.
Okay, that makes sense.
Those are conservative numbers. And the one thing that is important to realize in this is these are insured on what's referred to as a blanket policy. So even if we're underinsured by a little bit on a building, let's say we have one building insured for $4 million and only that building burns down and it actually costs $5 million to rebuild. As long as we're not over our blanket limit, we're not penalized for being $1 million under on that building. The reason that's important for Butler Community College is we've got a decent spread of risk from our values, the buildings that sit over in Andover, and then the campus in El Dorado. Now, Kent has told me before that the tornado, the Andover tornado in 93 or 91, whenever it was, came this close to hitting both campuses. But nonetheless, we do have a decent spread of risk with the 25 miles in between the two campuses. So the guidance I gave Kent is, even though the master plan may say 176 million, we're in a really hard property market. I've only been doing this 13 years. That the underwriters and wholesalers that we're working with are saying this might be the hardest property market that they've seen in 40 years. So to arbitrarily increase our limits, another $40 million would really negatively impact our premiums. I mean, we're already expecting we're already expecting an increase. That's just because every property market is doing an increase. If we don't have insurance data to justify bumping the limit another $40 million, I don't think we should do that voluntarily. Does that make sense?
Me neither. I was just curious. And
Okay.
I think in 2019 at the meeting when you guys were discussing insurance, there was an option, seemed like a couple $100,000 for roof coverage for maybe a lower deductible. And the trustees voted not to do it in 2019. I'm thinking last year we may have had that included. But I'd like at least to have that discussion next month when you bring us the
Yes.
numbers.
And so what you're referring to is the wind hail buy down proposal. And it was last year, it was $242,000. And you're correct, the college did opt to buy it last year. The reason being the deductibles on the Andover campus and the main campus here in El Dorado were $1 million per campus. So basically we're buying that $2 million potential out of pocket down to 500,000. So as I started this presentation, I mentioned that was the first thing we asked Chubb this year, is if they would take another look at their deductible structure, because $1 million per campus is high. But they were the only company that would write it last year. And again, that may have had something to do with our loss history. But now that the big wind hail claim, or the hail claim rather, has dropped off, we may find another carrier this year that will offer us more favorable terms. So
if
I'm hopeful.
I have a quick question for you. So hail and wind, that goes off after 5 years instead of 3 years? Like
Yeah, most carriers ask
residential
for 5
policies
years.
do? Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Julie.
No, I just wanted to make sure because I know it's 3 years for every other crime committed. Residential, when you have a claim residentially or on your insurance policy for your car, vehicle, anything else, then it's like 3 years. But so I guess commercial property is different.
5 years is typically what they ask for, yes.
Okay, and then secondly, next month when you come, you'll have the properties listed out on your disclosure or whatever, and it will have the addresses of these properties.
Yeah, we have a property schedule in Excel format that lists each building by address and the values and square footages of each. Is that what
I would really like a copy of that in
Okay.
advance, if possible. And you can send it through Kim. I don't care. I just want a
Sure.
copy of it before the next meeting.
Yeah. Kent,
Like, not at the last minute, but
Sure.
Kent, do you have anything else to add?
No, I'll talk to you about that property schedule, Ryan. That may be something Meredith has, or we can coordinate on that. I believe that's all that I have.
Okay, very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yep. Thank you guys for allowing me a few minutes, and I will see you next month.
Thanks,
Very
Ryan.
good. COP refinance, Kent.
Yes, I see that John Haas is here, sporting his Santa Claus beard.
Yeah,
Saw that also.
didn't recognize him.
He scared us a little bit ago. Like, what's going on?
You're muted, John. Can you hear us okay? There you go. I know John's internet is not always real good. Yeah, we made a lot. Well, I see that his name.
He may have just shut his video off too for a minute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
There he is. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I might just,
I'm not totally computer literate here. I had everything going. Then you all disappeared. Ah, am I there?
There you are.
Can you see
Maybe.
me now? Great. Good to see everyone again. Let me know if you just want me to start talking.
yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, Kent may have handed out some analyses for you. You may have noticed that interest rates, no? Okay. Interest rates are still exceedingly low. We had a public sale for the city of Heston yesterday. The interest rates were about the same that I showed Kent a few weeks ago. But what we're looking at possibly recommending to the board is the opportunity to refinance the college's 2013 B and 2013 certificates of participation. If we given the rates that we received on Heston, if we were able to achieve those same rates, refinancing the 2013 Bs, we're estimating would create a savings that could be achieved in fiscal 2022 of approximately $233,000. And for the 2013 As, the savings would be only about $24,485.63. I'll let Kent address if he would like to pursue the possibility of refinancing the 2013s, that if the savings at the savings level, it may be sufficient or not for his recommendation to proceed. This isn't an action item tonight. It's just an introductory visit with you all to let you know that these things are on the horizon. The meeting on June 8th, I believe that would be your next meeting. If the market looks good for the possibility of refinancing, these COPs will bring you back a sale resolution setting the date and time of the sale, which would be on July 13th, 2021. We're confident that these will sell well in the market. Garden City Community College had a good non-rated sale. Around April 15th, rates came in real well. And given that it's unrated, if for whatever reason rates aren't sufficiently low enough to create savings to proceed, you can collapse the transaction and there is no cost to the college. Given that these COPs only go out to 2028, I really don't see the necessity of having them rated. So anyway, Kent asked that I provided an introduction to the board tonight about this possibility. Do you have any questions for me this evening?
You know, I just like to know what costs are associated with the college, for the college, when this
Okay.
happens. I mean, I
Sure.
see the savings and I understand refinancing these, but I just want to know, I haven't, is there somewhere in here I'm missing it?
There was information in last month's board book, I think a little bit, but Kent they'll bring more next month when they actually put them on the board agenda. So
Yeah,
I think
it is in last month's board meeting. The main thing that I wanted to say to that is we will plan on using Gilmore and Bell as our bond counsel. We've used them successfully many times. Ranson Financial as the financial advisor. So their fees, both for the bond attorney and for the financial advisor, along with the underwriter's fees or the underwriter's discount, the people who buy the bonds, those fees are all included in John's proposal. So the estimated savings that he gave us is net of those costs.
Very good.
Okay, so that's the 242. It includes that.
Right. That's the estimated savings after those after those fees are taken out.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are net savings.
Very good.
John,
Yes, ma'am.
I thought you always wanted to have your bonds rated. Tell me why they're not doing that anymore.
Well, we are doing quite a bit of that. We actually have a rating meeting for Garden City Community College. It's about a $4.5 million issue, but it goes over a 20-year amortization. With these bonds, you're still looking at around $4 million, but we're only going to go out 6 years. And the longer the amortization, the more interest on having the bonds rated. They're a different type of investor. This short of debt is more like a bank. A lot of local banks will probably buy in to these bonds, and it isn't as necessary to have a rating. The other thing is, again, if we went the rated route, you were looking at a fee probably around $15,000, $20,000. And if for some reason rates go up and you can't sell bonds, the college would still be responsible for that expense. So what we're trying to do is create a riskless opportunity for the college. A cost benefit analysis is probably not going to be any better than break even, given the shortness of the debt. Again, the rating fee would be amortized over the length. And if it's amortized over 20 years, it's a lot less expensive on an annual basis than, say, just over 6 years or 7 years. So generally speaking, yes, particularly with community college COPs, rating is a good idea because you want as many customers as possible. But in this environment, there is high demand for securities. We've sold unrated COPs for Garden just a month ago, and the sale went really well. There was no issues for it. And I would expect the Butler County Community College to sell at least as well as Garden did, given the same level of interest rates.
Thank you.
Very good. Anything else, John or Kent?
No.
Very good.
Thank you, John.
All right. We'll
Thank you
plan
very
on
much.
seeing you next month.
Very good. We look forward to it.
Thank you all.
Kansas Promise Scholarship Act, Dr. Kroll.
I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on the Kansas Promise Scholarship Act that was signed into law, passed with really strong bipartisan support, came out of House Committee and on to Senate and passed there. And this bill that was signed into law on the 23rd by the governor establishes a scholarship program that you'll hear a lot of people call it as a last dollar scholarship program. It's going to create great access to specific community and technical college programs. It's just a two-year system program. And there'll be some transfer pathways probably that are included in it as well, but really a great focus on access for students and opportunity for workforce development and those kinds of things. And so just as part of that bill, eligible students would be a Kansas resident who's graduated from an accredited Kansas public or private secondary school or a Kansas homeschool within the preceding 12 months. 21 years or older Kansas resident who's been in the state at least 3 years, or dependent child of a military service member that's permanently stationed in another state and who within the last year has graduated from any out-of-state secondary school or obtained a high school equivalency diploma. So great access, great opportunity for Kansas students at a variety of ages. The career and technical pathway programs will fall generally into 4 categories that are identified in the legislation. And those include information technology and security. So things like cybersecurity and computer science, computer systems and web design and some things like that. Mental and physical health, which could include degree programs, and these are for AS degrees, certificates, standalone or short-term programs. So of course, nursing would fall in there, or rad tech, or physical therapy tech, some of those kinds of things. PN nursing program. Advanced manufacturing and building trades, which again is going to include a whole different variety. If you look across the system of community and technical colleges, a lot of the aviation programs will fall under there. Engineering technology for us, construction technology would fall under building trades and HVAC, those kinds of things. And then early childhood education and development. So if they're wanting to get a degree or a certificate in childcare, or even in elementary or secondary education. So some really tremendous opportunities there. And then each institution is going to be able to also choose a 5th area from a list that have been kind of identified, again, through discussions with KBOR and legislators. KBOR right now will, well, because of the legislation, Kansas Board of Regents will approve every institution's programs that would qualify. We have information that we'll submit to the Kansas Board of Regents by Friday this week. And then hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we'll have information back. Students would have to, there'll be a common scholarship application that all of the institutions will use. We'll all post to our website. We're all going to have some website requirements and some things like that. So there's easy access to the scholarship application. It'll be fairly simple and straightforward. Students will have to fill out FAFSA, federal financial aid information, but they don't have to qualify for federal financial aid. They don't have to be Pell eligible. They don't have to take student loans or anything like that. They just have to fill out the FAFSA. They will have to enter into an actual Kansas Promise scholarship agreement. One of the requirements for these students is that they'll be required to live and work in Kansas for 2 years, 2 consecutive years after they complete their programs of study. If they're transferring on to a 4-year institution, they can go ahead and complete their degree, 4-year institution, but then they'll have to stay in, still that residency or that work requirement for 2 years applies. If they don't complete their program or don't stay in Kansas, if they've taken scholarship dollars, then they'll have to pay that. They'll have to pay that scholarship money back plus interest.
Who does
A
that
lot of
money
those-
go to, though?
Well, it'll go, the money? You mean when they pay it back?
No, if they don't pay it back, who's going to be the losing person?
Well, that's still being worked on, but the legislation identifies that the Kansas Board of Regents would be the party that would have to get the money back from them or take them to collections or
Good.
whatever.
So
But
we don't
those-
have to worry
well,
about that.
Yeah. the
Great.
Devil's in the details. They're working, they're
Yeah.
working those things out. We'll know more as we go along, but, and there'll also be some, contingencies that are put in place in the regulations for unusual circumstances for students that may not be able to complete their program because of a health issue or, injury or, something like that. So there'll be some kind of a safety net probably put into some of that rules and regulations. But really, this is a program that has to be administered through the Kansas Board of Regents, and we're excited about it. It's expectation, the legislatures and the lead legislators that really push this legislation, the expectation is that it's launched this fall. And so we've already this week been out in, I think I think every school district in Butler County meets on the second Monday of the month. But we had a number of people out in front of school boards last night. We have some folks going to meetings tomorrow night We have folks going to meetings next week. We're going to get in front of all the school boards, the chambers that we can, the city commissions that we can. We sent letters out of my office with just initial information to all the school superintendents and the counselors and the principals and through the homeschool association. And so we're waiting for the details now. We can't talk about our programs that are going to be approved yet because we're waiting for K-Board to approve them. But just wanted to let you know that, and the information that's in your book on a couple of the pages kind of gives the crosswalk of information out of the legislation. So it gives you a little bit more detail. There'll be some family income limits that will apply. But again, trying to clarify some of that legislative information with what is in place for federal financial aid and some of those more stringent guidelines that, that we have to follow based on family income and what you consider satisfactory academic progress and some things like that. So really exciting opportunity.
Yeah, it is tremendous.
Yeah.
I can't figure out, so on this FAFSA, when they get it back and it says, okay, we'll loan you so much money, it goes to the Board of Regents. Does the board?
No,
It
no,
goes to the institution?
federal financial aid comes directly to the institutions where that student is
Okay.
enrolled, and it gets applied to their
Account.
bill. Yeah.
I have a quick question. You said there was going to be 5 programs. Do you have any idea what that 5th program is going to be for Butler?
No, what I indicated was that we're waiting for approval from the Board of Regents at this point in time. The 5, the program areas are, the broad program areas are what the categories that they call human services, law, like public service, criminal justice is one of the categories. Lori, can you help me? What are the other 3 areas? There was another education area, I believe, or no?
Agriculture.
Yeah.
And there was the auto tech, diesel tech area. I can't remember what they call it.
Yeah. So we'll, for that 5th area, again, want to look at, and one of the things that the conversations that we've had with, certainly with Heather Morgan is really directly involved with this legislative process and with the Board of Regents and all the discussions. And, what she has indicated to us is that it's probably most important to get it launched really effectively. And so when we would choose potentially our 5th program area, we might want to choose a program area where we already have students enrolled and we have interest, rather than trying to use this as a launch for to try and engage student enrollment. But she said to get the program off the ground so that we can show the legislature and K-Board that it's successful, we want as much enrollment as we can get. So Shelby?
It said in their high school graduate, homeschool graduate within a year, or 21 years or older.
Yeah,
Is
there's
there
a gap. Yeah, there's a gap for the 20-year-olds, but and I'm sure when they wrote the legislation, they didn't pick up on that. We certainly did right away after it was passed. But there will be over the next year, there will be revisions to this because there's and we'll discover as we go along, kind of humps and bumps in how it becomes operationalized. And so we anticipate that, by next fall, there'll be some changes to it. The hope is over time, if it's successful, that it'll get rolled out to more programs and more opportunities.
Full-time students only, Dr. Kroll, or
I'm sorry,
part-time?
full-time, part-time, as long as you're enrolled in 6 credit hours. And the expectation is that if they're enrolled full-time, they should be able to complete the degree pathway within 2 years. If they're part-time, complete within 3 years. That's a bit of a challenge because a lot of our students are working really hard, and it takes them longer to complete. But we want to try and apply this and operationalize it and launch it for the first year, understanding that there'll be some changes. But pretty exciting opportunity for our students and for the state of Kansas. Should be. We anticipate a huge benefit, especially for workforce, and engaging students and getting them into the career and technical pathways, and even transferring on. $10 million fiscal note that's attached to it. And the expectation is that I may get my years mixed up just a little bit, but any funding that's left over this year rolls into next year with the expectation that there will continue to be funding support. The legislation is written so that I think it's after the first 2 years, 150% of the annual funding cost is part of the legislation. So there's supposed to be always additional funding available, which is different than with the Excel and CTE, where we have to go back if we have more enrollment than what the funding covers. We have to go back to the legislature for additional funding. We've had to do that. And so what they're trying to do is prevent that same situation and have the funding available and sort of guaranteed on the front end each year. So, oh, as I know more about our programs, I'll be sure and let you know. But we're excited about it.
Very good. Next up on the agenda, the president's evaluation, Dr. Kroll.
Yeah, just a kind of a quick heads up. My contract, I think, identifies that my evaluation should be done in June. And so this says, the TFA says that it would be complete, members to complete early in June. We'll send it out. Actually going to send it out probably next week because I didn't pay attention to the board meeting in June and the date, but the board meeting's the 8th, which is early. And so I will send out the link will come out from Bryony, or does it come out from you? Okay. It's all online. It's a Qualtrics evaluation. So all anonymous. You submit your information and it gets aggregated, through the Qualtrics survey, and then Bryony will send the compiled report back to Laura, and then we can get it back to you. But exec council will fill it out, and then the board fills it out, and then when we meet in June, we'll schedule a executive session to go through my evaluation and to talk about my contract. So watch for that. And Laura will, maybe what you should do also is send a, what are those little notes? A read reply or a read. So we know everybody's gotten it, but we'll let you know. We'll give you a heads up so you can kind of watch for it. Hopefully it won't end up in junk mail, quarantine or whatever, you never know.
Monthly board work session, Dr. Kroll.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
All right. This is like the Kim Kroll.
It is.
Here we
It's your
go.
show.
One of the things that we discussed at the retreat was the need for additional meeting time. We talked about the fact traditionally we've kind of done work sessions tagged on to the end of regular board meetings, but that makes for a really long day and a long evening, and oftentimes may not be productive if people are really, really tired. And so we talked about, though, the need to have additional time for discussion, review of information, before it shows up on the board agenda for approval or discussion and action. And so it makes sense, hopefully, to everybody to identify a regular time that we can put on our calendars each month and plan around. And then if we don't need a work session, we can always cancel it. But I would propose that we try and identify a specific day of each month that we could schedule a work session if we needed one. Or even if we needed maybe a special board meeting, it might even serve for that purpose. So we wouldn't have to try and schedule something, on the fly and work around people's schedules. I hadn't thought about that until now. But it probably makes sense to try and do a work session after the regular board meeting. Maybe the week after the board meeting or 2 weeks after. That would certainly give us time to prepare for questions for items that might be on the next month's agenda and, have some time to talk about it. So I would just open that up for discussion, from you folks to see if we can identify.
When again is the one we have coming up?
Monday.
17th.
Monday,
Monday.
17th.
Monday following every board meeting's fine with me.
So maybe at that work session, could we, everybody
Check
kind
the
of have
calendars.
something in mind, and we'll maybe establish a day when, during that work session, we'll establish that.
I'm like in favor of a 7 a.m. in the morning meeting, but that may,
Here.
you
I can
guys
do
are
it via
staring at
Zoom.
me. Huh?
Do it via Zoom. that way.
Yeah,
Uh,
no. I'm
Monday
just teasing,
following seems a
actually.
little soon to me, but
That's, yeah, brainstorm it, think about it, and then at Monday's work session, let's talk about when that would be most ideally held. Does that sound fair?
I think, Doug, if I could, Shelby, one of the things
Please.
Carl and I talked about was that balance between having it too soon versus having it too late, and them not, if we want some information for the upcoming meeting, them not having the time to get it put together quick enough. And so this one of the 17th is really, we'll see how it goes, but if there's things we need to change, then we can talk about that then as well.
I'm sure
Because,
we'll have to float in on, there's a time of year where we all go on vacation about the same time.
sure, yeah.
However that works out.
Right.
So typically, Laura, help me. I mean, board agenda items are due, like for our board meeting on the 8th, the agenda item, well, of course, we run into Memorial Day, so. Yeah. Yeah, and this month is different because of Memorial Weekend, so. Yeah, so we kind of keep that in mind too.
Do some brainstorming, and we'll talk about it on Monday then. Yep, very good. Board action items.
Choose me again, sorry. Right? I'm gonna have to interspace these things in the next board book.
So we'll start with a report from staff on each of these, then we'll entertain a motion and go from there.
Okay.
So staff is Dr. Kroll.
Okay. We've had some conversation. We had some conversation last month about the trustees at butlercc.edu email address and how it's interspersed in a lot of historical kinds of things. It's on the college website on the terms and disclaimers page, I believe. It's in the student handbook. It's in the college catalog.
What is?
The trustees at butlercc.edu
The general,
email, the general email.
Address.
And we've talked about who that, because your individual email addresses are all on the website, on the, the Butler.
In one place. Whereas
They're all on the
not-
website, on the Butler, on the
right,
Butler
whereas they're not
trustees.
in Any of the handbooks or anything like that that
I
we
don't-
hand out.
No. Yeah, yeah.
So let's go ahead with the presentation and then we'll have discussion, please.
So we talked about the linking that trustees at butlercc.edu email. We had some previous discussion about making sure that that went to the board officers. And so, because there was concern that if it came to our office, we wouldn't distribute it to the trustees in the right way, that you wouldn't be informed that we had gotten that information. And so there was discussion about linking that email to the board officers, the 3 board officers. And they then would be able to help determine if it was a trustee issue, if it was something that needed to go on to one of the vice presidents to work on, if it was, if it was a complaint that the trustees actually had to, to work on or not. And so Ray provided, legal advice about care in, making sure how we addressed this concern, trying to make sure that we, his recommendation was that the board chair would be the person that could provide the collective reply to prevent individual trustees from being in a situation maybe where they shared information that shouldn't have been shared, or whether it's intentional or not, that might put the college at risk in some way or could cause legal issues. Also talked about the need for confidentiality, strict confidentiality. So we're trying to figure out how to manage that. I talked to Bill Young about this, and one of the things I guess that Lance and that we talked about as well was that how do we inform a student or somebody that uses that email address who that email is going to, because they don't really know. If they're sending an email to me, they're assuming it's coming to me. But when you send it to trustees, you maybe don't know who it's going to. And so we talked about the opportunity to create like we do for out of office replies for our emails if we're going to be gone, that you could have an automatic reply to any email that came to that indicated that the board chair had received or that the board officers had received the email and would be responding, to your concern or your complaint. And so they would at least have something right away that would come back to indicate that somebody's getting that email and, watch for a reply. So just trying to figure out from the board's perspective, how you want us to address this and move forward with it. And I would, take recommendation from board after discussion on this issue.
Well, I want to make a point. Did anybody happen to look at our pictures on the website? Well, I want you to listen to what's underneath it. The Board of Trustees is a governing body at Butler County College. The board delegates authority to the president or college subject to the board approval over all personnel, educational, financial, and business matters pertaining to the operation of the college. If you would like to contact a trustee by mail, please send to the president's office. You may leave a message by phone at 323-6444 or 218-6444. Now, to me, this seems like all of this that we're discussing tonight has already been decided.
That's information probably that's been on the website for quite a while.
These are under our brand new pictures that we're taking.
I know, but what I'm saying, Julie, is that the website probably hasn't been
not probably
updated.
the right thing to have in the.
So let's revisit that
That's a good idea.
outside of this, because this is addressing the trustee address specifically, the one address. And then we can come back and revisit how it's presented on the website.
My personal opinion, if this has reached the trustees at this email and it goes to 3 trustees, if you're trying to reach your elected officials, say 2 of the 3 want to respond and 1 doesn't. So majority of 2 has the right to say whether the other elected officials get to see an email or not, which I don't really, I don't appreciate that.
I guess I'm kind of thinking snail mail days when letters to the Board of Education was always given to the Board of Education president. That's because he represented the Board of Education. And that's the mentality I'm at. If somebody sends it to our individual email address, we're going to get it. But if they send one labeled trustees at BCC, it will go to the officers to be reviewed and addressed.
To me, it would seem what their intention is, to send something to everyone or just to let the board as a singularity know. That's where I'm coming from. If they want to reach every single person, they should be able to.
I think it's
And they
just like
can by
mail.
looking on the website.
But, and I hear what you're saying, Doug. I don't have to agree with you.
Sure.
Shelby doesn't have to agree with you.
Absolutely.
We're elected officials. Shelby and I were elected to this board.
Yes.
Not all of the people here were elected, but we were elected. So I find it
Excuse me?
peculiar. And
She's right. I wasn't.
I have a problem with anybody addressing the board, and it doesn't get to all of us. Now, I agree that it would be proper if the president of the board would agree that when they do get such an email, just a quick response, or maybe even what Kim suggested, an automatic reply would be wonderful, because as a student or a person that's wanting to contact you, I would definitely want to know that the board received that, and not the board officers. If I was sending it to the Board of Trustees and I didn't want them to have it, I would send it to the Board of Trustees officers. You see the difference? So I just think it's kind of like reminiscent of the days where we redid the bylaws because we didn't like this or that. And I just think it's important that a staff member or a student or anyone should have the ability to call or to send an email to the Board of Trustees that we all see, not make it dependent on 3 people on the Board of Trustees deciding whether everybody on the trustee board gets to see it. That's my thing.
I don't know that I agree that that's what this was set up for. I mean, I disagree with the premise that trustees at butlercc.edu necessarily means that the person sending it expects it to go to all 7 trustees. I think it
Why else
means
would you send it to the
they're
trustees?
expecting it to get to the body. They're
I think
expecting
you're
it to
selling them
get,
short.
would you let me finish, please?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
They're expecting it to get to the body, and the body is the board. If you think
Right.
of the board as a singular entity, it is getting to the board. Now, if they want it to go to every individual trustee, there is certainly a means of doing that because all of our email addresses are out there. And if we're concerned about a misunderstanding, that seems to me can be clarified in the auto response that specifically says your email has been forwarded to the officers of the board and the board will address your issue.
In a
I think
timely
it would
manner.
be better if you are going to do that, and if that passes with the majority, then for crying out loud, at least name the officers and say, you know what, even though you addressed it to the trustee board, this is only going to go to blah, blah, and blah, which is probably not what most people would intend, but if that's what you want to run, I mean, sorry, but I
Juliet,
don't agree.
well, we can agree to disagree.
Right,
I don't
and I
think
appreciate that.
it's fair to assume that what people intend or not. I think
Well, that's what you are assuming. though.
No, what the auto response does is it clarifies exactly where it went. And if someone says, oh my gosh, I wanted this to go to Julie Winslow, they can find your email address. And I would venture a guess that if they wanted you to get it, you're going to get it directly. And it's not going to go to trustees@butlercc.edu. So I don't think there's any perception that the people that they want this email to go to aren't getting it. I also don't think that we should assume that the officers are sitting here not, I think
Sharing
the full
information.
intent was the officers will share the information with the board. It just might be at the next meeting. It doesn't mean that you're going to get a forwarded email 15 minutes after it hits our inbox.
Shelby.
I agree with both of those. Like they're trying to reach the board as a singularity or us. You could have the auto response board, your message has been sent to the board. They will consider it, the officers will consider it and respond. If
If you'd like to
out
reach
an
individual board members.
trustee, here's their email.
I like
or Here's
that.
the link.
We can do that.
Here's
I
the
like
link to the site. And
I
then
like
that
Yeah.
way their intentions are done and there's no,
Yeah.
my only concern is if they intended to reach everyone and it didn't go to it. But
I
just-
agree.
and
I
if
can,
it was worded
yeah.
that way, I'm all for that.
So make a motion.
let me just give you a couple of, if I can. I can honestly tell you that a lot of the, information that comes to our offices, whether it comes to my office, whether somebody's reaching out to Lori, if somebody has a complaint about a faculty member, they oftentimes don't know who to go to. So they just pluck something that they can, access. And I mean, that's pretty standard lots of times. So I
think the
like
auto-
that. I like what you're saying is that, we can clarify that in that out of office reply if that's what you want.
I think most
The other-
important for us is for when someone reaches out to us, they know that we've heard of.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they get a reply, because before
Right.
we've been advised like, hey, don't talk to anybody for any reason. It's like, no, we've heard you, we're listening, we're gonna talk about it. And then that'll make everyone feel better.
Yeah.
But
Bill-
what the
Bill-
recommended action says, that the Butler County CC EDU email will be linked to the current board executive officers, which means Forrest and Doug and Lance.
And Julie, this was
Hold on,
written
to
before
assist- hold
the
on,
discussion.
wait.
This was written before the discussion
Just
tonight.
wait, please. Executive officers to assist in determining parties who need to be involved in the resolution of any concern. And I would say that we should just put this off another month because I would want that totally reworded.
Well,
I mean,
that
to
doesn't
me,
have
it's
to be
just-
the motion.
Yeah.
That was Ray's
I
recommendation.
wrote this 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
Julie.
So
before the
now we'll
discussion.
entertain a motion from
I
Shelby.
don't know exactly how to word it though.
Well, say what you're
Well,
thinking.
Can we, before we get there, so we don't have to change the motion,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have a problem with the substance of this if we're clarifying in the auto response to the person that sent the email that this is who received your email, and if you intended to send it to specific trustees, you need to do X, Y, Z. That seems to me to be the only amendment we need to make to what was proposed.
No,
I
because
agree.
I
Add
think
the- we
I
add
think
the
it
auto
needs to
response.
list the emails.
I'm not
right
sure you
there.
need to
that's-
have assistant determining blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure you need that on top of it to say what they're gonna do with what email.
No,
they
I don't
receive.
either.
That kind of puts it on, an onus on them of like, here's your thing and you guys decide. It's like, here's going to the officers.
Bill, is this all
Well,
pretty
it's just
manageable?
Lance,
Bill, is this all pretty manageable on the back end as far as that goes? I mean, the verbiage of it, I think if it includes, I agree with you, Shelby, that if it includes where it goes, and then if you want to contact somebody else, here's how you do it, or here's the link to the website, then they can go straight to the website and do it that way. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, there's plenty of room in those
Yeah.
replies.
Julie,
to
where
put all of
is
our
it?
Email addresses.
Where is it?
And I would even be happy if they put our names, not as a hyperlink
On the
email, where
webpage,
if
where
you
is
wanted
it?
to get a hold of us,
Under
you
our
actually
picture.
copy paste it.
Where's
to
the
it. If
part
they want to take
pictures?
an extra half a step.
President's office.
Once again, do we have a motion anywhere? We don't. Lance, you got a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would move that we have the trustees at butlercc.edu email forwarded or sent on to the executive or the officers of the board with a auto reply message that indicates who it went to, and also instructions on if somebody wants to contact an individual board member, the link to the website, which would have the email to do so.
I would want my email listed right on that auto response.
I've got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
And that would, how I would, well, then we're going to discuss it because I'm.
Yes, you can. This is the
You
time.
guys
I don't
just can do
know.
whatever you want. Just do whatever you want.
It's
How
time
did
to
That's the
Lance-
discuss.
majority. You do
get-
whatever you want.
How is the end of that worded, Lance? It's you have to repeat it again.
What I had said is that it would include a link to the website that Julie was referring to that has all of our contact information. And so in that auto reply, this is the way I would interpret my motion, is that it would say it went to the officers of the Board of Trustees. If you wish to contact them individually, here's the link with their contact information. And they
I
click
would want
the
their
link,
names listed.
and they can contact us via email. They can, whatever's on the website as far as contact mechanisms.
I don't think hitting an extra link is a burden on anybody that wants to get a hold of us. And it eliminates an auto reply that's going to be seven more lines long with
Right.
every single, I just, that seems cumbersome to me. And I don't know that it's
I
necessary.
would like it clarified to say, if you wish to reach all trustees or individual trustees, the link can be found here.
Perfect.
That's,
I
I
like
like
that.
that.
yes.
Remember.
I
it.
like that. You got that down there, Laura?
She's got it recorded.
Perfect. All right, we've got that
That way they have
motion.
their intent. They can
That
reach-
motion has been seconded. May we call the roll, please?
And
Is
who
it-
seconded?
Well, I did. Do we,
Forrest.
is Lance agreeable to amending the motion?
Yes, that's perfectly fine.
Has to amend the motion then.
We didn't,
No,
he didn't really,
It didn't have a second yet.
well, it did.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, it did.
Well, I
Okay.
move to amend the motion to say the verbiage I just said 2 minutes ago.
Thank you. That's good.
Second.
All in
Please
favor?
call the roll, Laura.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
And Doug,
We'll
I
be
think that
testing
was just the vote on the amendment technically, so we probably have to vote on the motion as amended.
Yes, we do.
I so
Oh.
move.
Exactly right.
I like these Robert's rules. All right, so now we have to formally act on the motion,
So moved.
correct? And a second from Forrest.
No, I just made the motion.
Oh, you made the motion? Okay,
What was the motion?
To approve the amended
amendment.
language that we just agreed to amend.
I second.
There was, Doug, my motion was on the floor. Shelby amended it. We passed the amendment, so now we're voting on my motion to send as he amended it.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, so it's not a new motion.
It's not a new motion.
I didn't think so.
Nice try.
Nice try, Rayworth.
Okay.
All right,
think
moving
that's
right along.
I don't think that's right.
So I
but,
need to call the,
I don't have my.
No, I don't
Robert's
believe you
Rule of
do. We
Order.
passed
You
it.
voted on the amended motion.
We have
Oh.
voted on the amended motion.
Right. We did it right.
Butler of McConnell, staff presentation.
Heather Rinkenbaugh, I think, is on, maybe someplace.
I am here.
You have the
Can y'all
floor.
hear me okay?
We
Yes,
can.
we can.
Okay, great. All right. Well, as you all know, we have been talking about McConnell for the last few months. And to start off, I wanted to, and Laura, I don't know, I can't see who all's in the meeting, but we have Daryl Coleman, who is an employee at McConnell. He's the Chief of Education and Training. And we have him here this evening to share just briefly with you about our longstanding partnership and the value that it brings to the base. So is Daryl on?
Yes, yes. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir. You go right ahead.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. I don't Zoom very much. But I'd like to say I really appreciate Butler being on McConnell Air Force Base. I was an airman many years ago, and I really use the on-base colleges, especially the community college, because that's where we get credit for the community college of the Air Force, which is you can say a required degree for airmen. So it's just about a required degree if you want to move up and get promotions and everything. So so I really like having the on-base colleges. Now, of course, a lot of airmen are using the online schools, but there's still many airmen that would like to take courses on base. And for some of us that need the one-on-one instruction, having an instructor right there, it's really helpful to have that. And for many airmen that just come in the Air Force, sometimes we don't have a vehicle right away. We can't afford a vehicle, maybe not even a computer. So it's really good to have the school right there where we can walk over the campus when we get off work and go to school. So I enjoy that as an airman myself, and now I like providing it to the airmen that serve us at McConnell Air Force Base.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Daryl.
Okay.
So as you know, I've shared over the last few months, we have been on McConnell Air Force Base now for 46 years. So we have a long-standing, strong partnership with them. We've shared a lot of data with you over the last few months. And so I put that kind of in a summary over the last 3 months there in your board book today. Just kind of hitting those high points of things that we've shared over time, things that we've discussed. And so while COVID has impacted us in terms of enrollment, we have still at the Service Center generated a significant amount of tuition and fee revenue for the college. And our enrollment was on the right track. We were headed in the right direction prior to COVID. So we would really appreciate board support in giving us more time to get back to where we were before COVID hit and to continue to increase those enrollment numbers.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess my 2 cents, I'm going to make a motion here in a second, but my 2 cents is I think we as a county community college should consolidate, come back into our county, much like we're doing with culinary. I'm happy to let any soldiers have free or reduced tuition, drive to Andover. It's 11, 12 miles away. If you're on base all day and you never get away, it's a convenience to have a class there at night, but our hours there are so few. And in 2019, we lost $200,000 on the McConnell operation. I'm not asking to close down Rock Road right now. I've heard all those numbers, but I just don't see it as the taxpayers of Butler County just to make it to such a convenience for all the people taking hours there. And then you presented last month that like half those hours aren't even for soldiers. I'm not trying to hurt anyone of any kind. I just think we should bring things back to Butler County. And that's my 2 cents mostly. I mean,
So you would not make a motion?
I'm going to make a motion right now. I'm just talking.
Okay, but to clarify, you said not the Butler service.
No, I just want to talk about McConnell. That's all. I was going to do the same thing I did last time, except properly this time. I move the BCC cease all physical operations and exit McConnell Air Force Base as soon as it is allowed by our contract.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Further discussion at this time?
My only other discussion is like our total credit hours. I mean, this only shows the last couple years to 2018. So let's say in 2018, our total credit hours were 175,000. And 2017 is 181, 181, 181. And we've gone from 181 down to 142-ish thousand. So it's just, I've got, getting on base is not easy. And that's just, I think we should pull things back into Butler County, Butler Community College, Butler County Community College, and just not be outside of our service area. That's my opinion.
But just take care of the common facility, not.
I'm not talking about the Rock Road Service Center, just physical
So,
base.
so I just want to clarify. So this changes access for students, for military personnel and their families and their dependents. And so this would be a decision that would limit access for students to higher ed, to opportunities for completing their CCA and all of those kinds of things.
I
That's,
believe they could
it.
Zoom or
Yes.
get a ride. In this day and age, you could take an Uber or public transportation, or you
Well, I
could get
think
off base.
part of
with
the,
a class.
and part of the conversation has been also that a lot of those service people don't have the ability to be that far from their duty stations. And we talked about that, I think, early on, maybe the first conversation, that they don't have the opportunity to actually leave their duty stations. And so
I understand that, but I'm
this
still
will
making-
limit access.
I don't think it's the Butler County residents' job to provide just convenience to people in Wichita.
It's
Fair
only
enough.
across the street down the road just a bit from the
What
base.
is?
The
But I
service
assume if
But
they
they
wanted
don't
to
teach
go
classes at the service
across
center.
town and eat at a
could.
restaurant.
No, they can't.
we
No, it's
can't.
it's not in our service area. We can't teach classes at the service center.
Because.
No
that's-
institution, because you have to have approval from
And
WSU
we
and
don't have
WSU
that.
Tech.
Right.
None of the community colleges, nobody has approval to teach classes.
And if you guys
in the
don't agree
service
with
center.
me,
Sure.
let's vote and
No,
drive
not
on.
at
I
your
just wanted to
service.
have my
No,
say
not
on
in
the record.
Wichita.
Very
They
good.
don't.
Thank you,
Calumet
Sheldon.
either.
Doug,
No, they don't.
Yes, sir.
This is Lance, and we've looked at this, so like Heather said several times over the course of the last few months, and one of the big things for me was looking at, what does it take to get back to break even, and we're looking at 25 hours to where that is back in the green. If I understood the previous conversations correctly and what's in the book tonight, with the Kansas Promise Act and some potential for enrollment there, I just feel like leaving McConnell right now in the middle of COVID and not giving them the opportunity to try to get that enrollment back up, kind of where they expected it to be, and ultimately a relatively small amount to get back to where it is on the right side of things, would be, I just think it'd be poor visibility for Butler ultimately, and I think it's good to be there.
Thank you.
I mean, if this is an economic decision, I don't think now is the time to be making it. If we were perpetually running hundreds of thousands of dollars in the red, then I think that's a whole different discussion. We haven't been there. I think the updated numbers that Heather provided to Lance's point we were about 40,000 in the red last year, and that's in the middle of a pandemic.
What about the year before?
Well,
Well, I think last year was 19, and this year is different because we don't have the numbers yet. We're at half the tuition.
But, well, I guess the important point is,
Right.
it's to Lance's comment, we're not that far from break even, which means we're not that far from being in the black and generating revenue out of that location, not subsidizing it. And I think now's with the opportunities we have to grow there, apart from the service aspect of providing an educational opportunity and being in the middle of providing it to our servicemen and women, I don't think now's the right time to be making that move for what is, I think, a relatively small dollar amount in the middle of a pandemic.
I also want to clarify, the reference point that you had for the significant the $200,000 loss. When we looked at that, we went back and realized that we didn't have the right personnel assigned to McConnell. So on paper, it looked that way, but I think if we had gone back into that and had updated the personnel assignments the way we did for the subsequent information that we provided, I don't think that number would have been as big. And so so that's a piece of it. I know that was information that was presented to you, but the updated numbers are accurate. So
Okay, that's just where I'm going from, because
Yeah.
it took several months for me to get that information. Then we got it June of last year, and it was negative 200,000. Then we reworked how we did all the numbers to make it.
we made sure, well, we didn't fabricate. Don't make it
No, no,
sound
no, no,
like
no. I mean,
we
it's an accounting
fudged them.
principle of-
We reassigned, we made sure that people were assigned in the right categories and in the right way so that we knew the numbers were accurate. I don't want anybody to think that we fabricated
No,
those
I'm not
updated
saying
numbers.
that. It's just,
Can we go ahead and call it?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure thing.
We're gonna actually vote on the motion. We're not calling, we're voting on the motion.
Yeah,
And the
don't
motion
call
is
the
to
question,
close,
Doug.
to move away from McConnell, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Repeat the motion to close is your motion,
That
right,
DCC
Shelby?
cease all physical operation and exit McConnell Air Force Base as soon as it is allowed by our contract.
Thank you.
Trustee Good,
No,
trustee Lechtenberg,
Lance?
Sorry, no.
trustee Rhodes,
No.
trustee Law,
No.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
No.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Fails 5-2.
Thank you.
Driving
This
And
is,
thank you
uh,
for the discussion.
I would really like it if you guys would somehow recover this, because this actually says topic for action, McConnell and Butler Service Center. And it did not include Butler Service Center. So for the
Julie,
record,
Julie, please, when we put
Kim,
these
please,
topics
just
of
asking you to
action
do that. I don't
together,
think that's a bad request.
well, listen, when we put these topics of action together, we're putting them based on the information that we want to provide and that we believe that has been requested. Shelby didn't indicate to us comprehensively last month that his motion would only include
No, it's fine. It's
McConnell.
misunderstanding,
It's
but
fine.
Maybe
Yeah,
just in the
that's-
minutes.
that's a minor
Understand that I
issue.
Yeah.
only want to make sure.
And it
the
will be
records are
reflected
correct.
properly.
Well,
That's
this
in
all.
the
record
minutes.
is
Thank
correct
you.
because it's information that's provided on
Thank you.
both of those sites.
But in the minutes, it'll just say what we did.
That's
Correct.
exactly right.
Well, yeah, the agenda shouldn't change
right.
because the agenda was based on what was requested, but the minutes were only a vote on what the motion was.
Personnel items, accepting the retirement of James Jeb Burris. Shelley, do you have some kind words about Jeb?
Lori probably does. if she's
Lori,
still on.
somebody?
I can say some wonderful things about him. They had a retirement reception a little bit this afternoon, and he's kind of known as the legend in Kansas for his EMT training. And so let me pull up something I had here this afternoon. And I just want to say personally to Jeb that I've always enjoyed working with him. I know he cares deeply about student success, and through his work with students in the EMT program, it'd be interesting to calculate how many lives across the state he indirectly saved. So let me find what Christy posted this afternoon. I had it up a little bit ago. He's been at Butler, I think, more than 20 years, or right at 20 years. And he has played Santa for Butler for a number of years, so Santa may not come this year. And then he's an extraordinary KISS fan. So he fills the halls with music when he's in there grading papers over in Andover, and he's going to be greatly missed.
We saw him that day that we were over touring.
Does he dress as a KISS character for Halloween? And if so, which one?
I have no idea if he's.
Do we need to act on these individually or do it as a package?
Well, I have
How
some
do we
things to
normally
say
do
about
that?
one of these that a letter was sent to me. So I would just soon do it one at a time.
I didn't know how presentation wise, we'll do them one at a time. Do we vote on them collectively? or
Yeah,
I
individually?
think we've done them every time individually.
I think you've
Do
done
it
it.
individually, usually, Doug.
Thank you very much. So I need a motion to accept the retirement of Jeb Burris, please.
so move.
Second.
Julie got the second. Please call the roll.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
The acceptance of the retirement of Michael Heffron.
Yes, I received a letter today from a former student of Mr. Heffern's, and unfortunately, I don't know him. But it was so nice, and I remember reading it and thinking, boy, I had a guy like that when I was in college, several of them, as a matter of fact. So I want to read it to you. It's from Sherry White. She is now living in Missouri. And this is what it says. Michael, I recently heard about your retirement. I was going to go down to surprise you last Friday at Red Robin, but I was booked up with home improvement, blah, blah. Bob invited me to attend the faculty party after I contacted him about your retirement, and I wish I could have been there. It's been 18 years since I took that first anatomy and physiology class. Physiology, there we go, whatever. I have to admit, you scared me on the first day when you said half the class wouldn't be here after 2 weeks. You were right. A lot of students dropped from the class within a week. I think more than anything, your words lit a fire up under me to work hard, and I was an older student who had something to prove, and you certainly helped motivate me. There was something about you that I liked. You were tough, but you were kind. You were stern, but funny at times. You opened my eyes to my true love of science and instilled on me the confidence that I could make it in whatever career I chose. I remember part of our grade was putting together a binder we had to turn in at the end of the semester. The inside of my 3-ring binder had tabs for every chapter we covered in class notes, quizzes, and so forth. To begin with, I wasn't sure why we needed to do such an assignment, but by the end of the semester, it became clear that organization of our topics were clear to learning. Plus, it looked pretty darn impressive. So I finished your class with a 99.7, and I was very elated. That fall, I started the nursing program. When I got all of my textbook material ready for the first day at nursing school, I organized a 6-inch 3-ring binder just like that I did for your class. Tabs, the course syllabus in the front, pockets of the test results, and notebook paper in every tab. Everyone in class the first day had huge eyes and dropped jaws when they saw my notebook. That was the main reason I was nominated class president that day and subsequently voted as president of the Butler Student Nurses Association. You were the reason behind helping me obtain those positions. After I graduated from nursing school in 2005 and moved out to the West Coast to take my first position, your class always came to mind for anyone who ever said you'll never have to use an AP in real life. Didn't have you as an instructor. I have used the information learned for your class, not only with my career, but in my personal life, and help younger children and kids understand science better. So Michael, you are my foundation in my career. Without you, I would not be who I am today. I honestly look back at my time at Butler and sometimes wish I would have gone the science route. You were the one who encouraged and motivated me the most. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You were the best instructor I ever had. Enjoy your retirement, and I know the Board of Trustees is meeting this afternoon to approve your retirement. I'm going to send a copy of this to Trustee Winslow so she can share it with everyone just how special you and the science department are to me. Enjoy your retirement, and please contact me if you get up to Kansas City. I'd love to see you again. Sherry White.
That's really nice.
Very nice
That's-
testament from a
that's
student.
That's
Yeah.
Lee's wife, so, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She's, when we've had coffee before, she's talked about her instructors at Butler, so that's really nice that she.
Sound like a couple of mine that motivated me the same way.
Very good. Very nice. So I would entertain a motion to accept the retirement of Michael Heffron.
So move. Lori doesn't have to say anything after that, right?
Got a motion and a second on the floor, Laura.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
The acceptance of the retirement of Lana Ryan or Lana Ryan?
Lana.
Lana Ryan. Who's going to speak about Lana?
I don't have any letter.
I got this email today.
About Lana. Lana is one of those unsung heroes that works behind the scenes. She does everything from helping build the schedule, meeting faculty needs on a daily basis, helping find subs if somebody's sick, answering the phone calls, entering the faculty load and compensation pieces that faculty acknowledge their overload in, and many, many, many other tasks. I've always enjoyed working with Lana, and I know as she walks out the door, we have a lot of Butler knowledge walking out the door with her as a boots on the ground person that will be greatly missed. So I want to wish Lana the best, and where she's going to be missed.
Very good. Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to accept the retirement of Lana Ryan, please.
Motion.
So move.
Could I use a second?
That's what I was asking her to do.
Julie made the motion, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm
Julie made the
sorry.
motion.
Julie made the motion. Mary Martha has the second.
Okay,
Call the roll, please.
I need discussion, please. You can have discussion on those.
Did you hear that?
Lori, is she retiring or is she going to another position?
He's retiring.
She's young.
Well,
I could tell you, she struggled with this decision and conversations that she and I had. We have a pretty attractive early retirement incentive, and she opted into that right after her 60th birthday. So her and her husband have lots of things they want to do and travel together. She said it's going to be really hard for her because she just doesn't know how she wouldn't come to work every day, but she's trying to get used to the idea.
Sounds just like her.
Works for
Thank
us for
you.
18
After that brief delay, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Good,
Are you voting?
You gonna vote?
I'm waiting.
Somebody else in here
Yes.
named Trustee Good.
Trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
Trustee Law,
Yes.
Trustee Winslow,
Yes.
Trustee Howell,
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Unanimous.
I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda, please.
So moved.
Moved by Shelby, second by Julie. Would you call the roll, please?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
Trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
Trustee Law,
He might
Yes.
be.
Trustee Winslow,
Never know
Yes.
about those
Trustee
guys.
Howell,
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Unanimous.
What do we have under supplemental information, Dr. Cole? Anything?
Just, performance agreements information that hasn't changed since last time, some KPIs. I do want to talk just a second about the schedule for this week still. I think Laura put maybe a handout in front of each of you. Nurses pinning, Trustee Howell will give the welcome. Please arrive at the gym at 6:30 and we'll line up on the south end and move into our seats. Honor ceremony, Friday, May 14th in the gym, 1:30, and Trustee Smith is going to do the welcome. And so again, be there about 1:15, and this time we'll use the north doors of the gym. Yeah. It's probably I don't know why they do that differently. Well, I guess it's just the way that we come in. With the honors ceremony, we won't process in. We probably just go to our seats. That's probably why. Commencement, Friday night, 7 p.m. Pray for no rain. The forecast looks kind of sketchy a little bit.
What is our rain? What's our rain plan?
Our rain plan is Saturday morning, I think at 10, but there's rain scheduled for Saturday too.
Yes.
High school commencement is on Sunday, so if we can't get it in
Umbrellas.
Friday or Saturday, then we're canceled.
Sprinkle will go ahead and go on.
We
What
will
do.
not be out there if it's a deluge or if there's lightning.
Lightning, okay. And I'll be at all three of those.
Are all of us
Okay,
anticipated to be in attendance at all?
Yes.
you,
Mr. Doug, you should be there.
Well-
I thought Friday was the only one that we should all.
Friday's
Friday's
the
the
most
only one that
important
I
one.
can't go
Yeah,
to.
if you're coming to the other one, I need to know because we specifically set up the number of chairs on the podium for who's going to be there. So if you're coming to the other ones, let me know. Let Laura know, please.
But
So we
Julie,
can
you
plan.
can't make it on Friday? you said?
Not
No.
Friday. I got,
Oh, I thought you were coming.
well, I can to the other two, but my problem is my son already arranged my travel arrangements for me. Since he's paying for part of them, it's kind of hard for me
To ignore it.
to say no.
So are you coming to the other ones then?
The other ones, yes.
Okay, Laura, you got that down?
So the other ones would just be nurses pinning on Thursday because the honors thing is on Friday as
Oh,
well.
yeah, honors is on
So
Friday too.
Thursday at 7.
So you're gonna come to nurses pinning? Okay. Anybody else coming to nurses pinning? Mary Martha is. Oh, I was gonna say you're gonna be.
I'll
there.
dust you off before you go up.
Thanks. I'm 50/50. Can I give you an email?
You can let us know.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So Friday night commencement at the stadium. So we're gonna have trustees Lechtenberg, Smith, Rhodes, Law, and Good, right?
Correct.
Okay, because we want to make sure we have seats set up. Please understand that the closed captioning may not include you, trustee Good now, because we had to send the closed captioning, the script off, but I'll still introduce you, okay? We will have seats for you on the on the platform and you'll process in with us. You need to be at the stadium at 6:20. We're going to gather up in the suites. And so when you come to the stadium, we'll have reserved parking. Laura's marked on the map where the reserved parking will be for you, because by the time you get there, it may be full. So come through the front gate at the stadium. If you haven't been there before, take a right, come around the corner, and the elevator and the stairs, sorry, are right there. It's the slowest elevator in
The world.
Kansas.
It is, absolutely.
It's the slowest elevator in Kansas, but it will get you to the second floor. And just come up there. You can, we'll gather up there and be up there. And then we, if I remember correctly, are going to be in our seats by 6:50. Yes, is that right? And then the students will process into pomp and circumstance. The process, typically, a couple of the trustees are helping do scholarship stuff, Hubbard Award and the trustee scholarship. But typically what the trustees do when the diplomas are given out, you guys kind of trade off. You'll hand diplomas, get your picture taken with the student and the diploma, and you do about, I don't know, you do a big group of them and then you switch out and the next trustee comes. We'll kind of figure out what those numbers are. And so everybody gets a chance to cycle through and shake hands and stuff like that. So.
And then if we have a child or a relative, we can go up there and get them.
Typically, yeah,
Sure.
if you've got a relative that.
Unless it's my turn.
Yeah.
Mask
It's
up.
open
And
to the public.
masks, well, we limited, students each got 3 tickets because we still want to limit capacity. We have probably, I don't know, 5, last.
Between 5 and 600.
How many?
5 and 600, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have potentially, 1,800 people there, more, I guess, by the time we consider faculty and stuff, but we're still at that point where we need to limit the capacity. So everybody got 3 tickets, and students are wearing masks. We're wearing masks, but we aren't going to be able to police,
I
people.
won't be, so
People wear them. We'll give you a butler mask
I
to
won't wear it.
wear.
You won't wear it?
If
I
your
will not
significant-
wear a mask,
If their
period.
significant other comes, they can sit in the
Do
reserved
people not
seating
believe in
with
the
us,
science of
correct?
the vaccine? You still got to wear a mask?
If these folks, yeah, if your family members come, if somebody else wants to come, we have some reserved seating in the stadium for other dignitaries or family members.
If you could let me know that, so I can kind of have an idea of how many people
Yeah.
to reserve space for.
I did have a quick question before we're done with this. On page 77, Lori had some program offerings. Are we therapy assist program? I didn't know if she was going to talk about that a little bit.
I wasn't planning to talk about it, but we're in the
Oh.
process of doing research and looking at what resources we would need to launch a program of that nature. Most of the courses that would be need to be offered would have to be developed, and there is an accreditation process that you have to go through. So it's not something that will.
Early in the discussion phase.
Right. Okay.
Very good.
And my only other question was on the page 86, that was the mill levy discussion. And I just had one thing I wanted to hand out. We've got it before from our old budget development manual. It was just the mill levy and the total taxes levied from 2002 to 2020. So I know we've all had it before, but that's just when
Yeah,
I
the
say,
chart.
when I spout off, we've gone from 5 million to 15. That's what I'm basing it on.
We
So,
keep a running, that running list.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
No, I have a question for Dr. Kroll.
We're gonna hit 8 o'clock. That's what it says in our book. That's what it says in our book.
I'm trying.
Tell me again on articulation agreements with Purdue and Baker and Grantham. Are those 2 new, Purdue and Grantham?
Are
Yeah.
they new institutions?
New to
No.
us,
Yes.
but
They
not Baker? Or is Baker new?
We have a number of different agreements with Baker. This is probably a new one because it's RN to MSN. Those are
Right.
unique. That's a really unique agreement now because oftentimes they're RN to BSN first. but Baker has developed this more comprehensive pathway to a master's degree.
But all three of these are for RN.
Yes,
Well,
correct.
actually-
ADN or RN.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
actually, they're all a little bit different, which,
Well, they are.
sorry, Doug, but
No,
I
you're good.
also had some,
Was it Baker that was taking the 60-hour requirement of prereq? So they got to do our whole program and then take a little more, or do?
That was KU, wasn't it?
Well,
It was in this month.
lots of times, the private institutions will take our students having completed their entire associate's degree, and they come in as junior status. The public Kansas institutions don't always do that. I guess I should say that.
Just each one was individual and had their own requirements.
yeah.
Yes.
Which was
And
interesting.
honestly,
That's why I
some of
remember.
these, I don't know, Mary, if you had a chance to read them, but some of these required a lot of work out of Butler, actually chasing the dreams of these other colleges that we are having these articulation agreements with. And it just seems like, I just don't want to spend a lot of money in advertising for specific colleges that are 4 years through these articulation. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that in a cautious way. And then the other thing is I would truly like to see more articulation agreements in Kansas if possible. And
Well-
of course, immediately I can think of WSU. I would really like to see an agreement with them.
Oh, we have
You have an
hundreds of,
agreement with them.
really. Lori, how many articulation agreements do you think we have with Kansas institutions?
Well, I was really specifically talking about the nursing program. Actually,
Well,
You have
Why
one.
why would you want to go from Baker to Grantham? It's
Well,
a college I've never
no.
heard of.
no,
it's not.
it just provides additional choice for students. This is
I
just an
see.
opportunity to give students additional choice for what they want to do and where they might want to go.
So where they reside.
Yeah,
Where is Grantham?
it's based out, is it out of the Kansas City area, Lori? Grantham?
I will look it up real
I
quick.
think it's in Lenexa, Kansas.
I think it's Lenexa too. Yeah.
Ah,
So it is
It
a
is in
local
Kansas, yeah.
institution.
I move that we adjourn.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a second. Second. I got a second. I've got a motion and a second on the floor, Laura.
I
Trustee
want to add an amendment.
No, I still had more questions.
Trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes.
To call you.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Definitely.
trustee Winslow,
Yep.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
So it passes.
6-1.
Thankfully.
Jim, we miss you.
Thank you very much for your patience with
And we
my
miss you too, of course, Lance.
acting chairmanship. We are adjourned.